Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 154 of Rush Roundtable. Today we have another episode of one of our favorites. It's Great Take or Let's Debate. So first and foremost, the Rush Funko Pop that is now available for pre-order. You can get it via the link on your screen. It is through my buddy's shop, and you can use promo code RushFans, or Jerry's got one for his podcast, SFN. Each get you 15% off the Funko Pop if you're looking to purchase it or pre-order it. Secondly, brand new guest, bottom left corner. We want to welcome Peter to the show. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Glad to have you. Finally, we'll turn it over to Paul. Paul's going to provide us with a bunch of takes, hot takes, whatever you want to call them, and we'll turn it over to you. So go ahead.
Whatever you want to call them, great takes. This is part 4, I think, Brian. This is my
This
third
is part
one.
4. Yes.
This is part 4. I participated in the last 2. They're always a good time. So good time. Ryan gave me the opportunity to host this one. So I thought long and hard for these takes, like months of analysis. I'm lying. Anyway. All right. So the first take, Geddy Lee hit his peak vocal performance with Power Windows. First up, Derek.
Great take.
Ryan.
Let's debate. I think his peak was Presto. This was not planned, but I think his peak was. Tim Durling has said it a couple times. Available light, Presto era is Geddy's peak.
Okay, Jerry, your thoughts?
I'm gonna say let's debate, because I think he's always been at his peak. I think he's great on Clockwork Angels. So no peak, in my opinion. Peakless.
Geddy Lee's voice is peakless. Interesting. Right. Interesting take. Peter.
Absolutely a great take, I believe. If it's not Power Windows, it's Presto, but I would go with great take.
Finally, Mr. Jim.
You know, I was going to say let's debate and kind of echo Brian, but, I think I'm going to go ahead and echo Jerry.
Thank you. Thank you. Putting that down in the win column for me.
Yeah, write it down. It's not going to happen later. So write it down now.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on here. See, Time Machine Tour is the best overall tour. Derek.
Great take.
Ryan.
In terms of set list or in terms of everything?
I'm just saying best overall.
All right, I'll say great take.
So leave it to interpretation.
Yeah, okay, great take.
Jerry.
I'm going to say let's debate, but it's a thin margin here between great take and let's debate, because I think that the R40 tour was better, even though I loved the Time Machine tour.
I'm not allowed to debate back. All right. Okay, Peter.
I would say, obviously, it's a great take, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
Come on, Jim.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, Jim, what's next? Are you going to concur with everybody here? What, except for Jerry?
Except for me.
I always concur with Jerry. Now I'm going to say let's debate. I'm going to go with Clockwork Angels for 2 reasons. I mean, one reason is they filmed it in Dallas, and I was actually at that show, so it's kind of really special, for me. But I really loved 2 things about the show: that they brought the string ensemble with them, and they played, not only Clockwork Angel songs, but additional songs with them. And they really dipped into that mid-'80s catalog quite a bit. And that was really exciting to hear. So that's my spiel.
Interesting. I was waiting for someone to say the R40 tour, but that was a tie.
That's what I said. The R40 tour.
Yeah.
It was good.
I find R40.
Uh-oh.
All right, fine.
Save it for later.
Well, we'll fight to the death later. All right, let's see. Next one. Well, since we're talking best of,
Finish him.
Mortal Kombat.
All right, so let's see what's next on my list here. Okay, for the drummers out there, Neil's drum solos peaked with different stages. Derek, making you think, guys. Now, eh? Yeah.
I'm gonna say great take. I'm gonna say great take.
Okay.
They,
Ryan?
They peaked with different stages.
You want me to explain my logic behind this, or
You don't
Should I?
mind.
Yeah,
I do.
sure. I guess so. Yeah.
as Neil was getting older and having more physical ailments, his drum solos changed dramatically. They were more, I don't want to say less powerful, like they were just more melodic, I guess, after he came back from his hiatus. So I prefer the more powerful drum solos that he used to have, like All the World's a Stage and Next Stage Left. And I mean, a show of hands, different stages, that's my ultimate favorite. And after that, they were still great, but they changed completely. So that's my take on that.
I'm gonna do a swerve here and just defer to whatever Jim says because I have no idea.
Jim? Why Jim? Just because he
Jim was a
plays
drum-
drums?
Because he's
Jim's
a
a drummer.
drummer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's ask Jerry that question first then. What do you think?
I say let's debate, because
Okay.
I love Neil's more melodic drum solos. I love all of the extra sounds he put in, the electronic drums, all of that stuff. I think they became more complex and more interesting, even as late as, I think maybe Snakes and Arrows was one of the best. So I'm debating that one. Boy, I'm very, very
I think I
cankerous
was
tonight.
I was leaning in that direction, so I'd have to agree. I just can't speak to it from a technical standpoint because.
Right.
Yeah. So.
What about you, Peter? What are your thoughts?
I guess I would say it's a great take, even though I do think that came back around the Clockwork Angels and Snakes and Arrows. I do think that those are, but contrary to what Jerry said, I don't have that passion for his drumming towards the 80s. That 80s sound drumming really turned me off quite a, not quite a bit, but just a little odd for me going through those years, not musically, but hearing his drums at that point. So I would say a great take.
And here's a take I want to hear from Mr. Jim.
Well, I would say let's debate. Probably
Yep.
you're not surprised by that.
No, I'm not.
Jerry brought up that Neil's solos got more melodic. They did, and they also got more technically complex. The things that he
Yes.
was doing. I do remember. Okay, I'll try to keep this super short. This is a little drum nerdy. I do remember that he was playing a figure of three with his feet, kick drum, hi-hat, and he was soloing in four on top of that. So he's doing a 3 against 4 thing. And that's not something that is easy. And I remember hearing that live when he was first doing that. And as time went on, it got more complex. And I just thought it was really cool. And what he was doing with the big band stuff towards the end, like triggering the horn sounds and stuff like that, that was just fun. He was kind of paying homage to Buddy Rich, which is one of his, jazz drumming heroes. So I think he was really paying homage to Buddy and to other drummers in that genre who inspired him.
I think the early solos, while they're obviously great,
Oh yeah,
you can kind of hear that type of solo from a dozen different drummers. But Neil later on had so much at his disposal,
yeah.
and was more interested in making it a beautiful solo as opposed to just a chops solo. While he still had the chops,
Right.
obviously, it was still
Yep.
more interesting to listen to.
Yeah, it's more compositional, I thought.
There you go. That's the word.
But I'm at the different stages solo, which is really almost like the transition when you think about it. Like this is recorded in '97, but that's my take. You're all wrong. All right. Let's see. Let's see who's next. All right. Counterparts had to happen to transition the band from the '90s and establish their sound for the rest of their careers.
Great
Derek?
take. Great take for sure.
Ryan?
Great take.
Yep. Jerry?
Great take.
Peter?
I want to be a contrarian here and say, let's debate, but I do see what you're saying. And I remember when that album did come out, I called up my buddy and I said, uh-oh, you got to hear this new sound on Counterparts. And we were both very, very happy with the change or the return to excellence. That not that they'd ever failed to be excellent, but we were very, very excited for Counterparts. I will say, however, that I was disappointed with the release of the single "Stick It Out," which, believe it or not, if you ever watched Beavis and Butthead, that was the one and only time that Rush was ever referenced in Beavis and Butthead. And I'm all there with on pins and needles. Oh my God, we're gonna get the approval of Beavis and Butthead, and what happened? Thumbs down from Beavis and Butthead would Stick It Out. And but anyway, great take. I do think that was a solid hard rocking album. Yeah.
Finally, Jim.
You know, I'm gonna say mostly great take. I think the album had to happen. I think the sound of the album had to happen, but to me, Rush has a slightly different sound every album. So I'm not sure if that album defined where they were going or just kind of helped them to move along the path that they were going to go. I don't know. But I love the album. I mean, I also remember when it came out. And I absolutely loved it.
That was my first new album as a fan, and that just blew me away. All right, let's see what's next on my lovely list. All right, let's have one that's probably going to cause some debate here. A Farewell to Kings is in the top 3 most underrated albums. Derek?
I'm going to say great take on that one.
Okay. What about you, Ryan?
Most underrated?
Top 3
No.
underrated.
Top 3 underrated. I would say let's debate. I think just about everything post, I don't know, Grace Under Pressure or Power Windows is more underrated than that. So and everything before 2112 is more underrated than that.
I'll explain my logic after, but we'll see. Jerry?
I'm going to say let's debate, because I think that among a lot of fans, A Farewell to Kings is like in their top 3 favorite albums.
Right.
We've gotten a lot when we did our episode on our top 5 favorite albums. We got tons of lists from people, and A Farewell to Kings was up there in a lot of them. So I don't think it's I think the underrated stuff is the 80s stuff, Power Windows. But then again, I can't even say that because people love Power Windows. Some people put it as their number 1 album.
Some people put it as their license plates.
Right, exactly. So it's hard to tell. You'll do a cross section and you'll find all different albums. So that's a hard one to say. So
yeah, that's
let's
fine.
debate it, but I have really no point to debate.
Peter?
Let's debate. I mean, I don't think it's underrated, right, Paul? Is that what you're saying, Paul? That it's underrated? Top 3?
Well, my top 3 underrated, I think, yeah.
Well, I think it's actually one of the most revered of their albums, considering Primus just did a big tour. I don't know if you guys have seen that tour with Primus.
Yeah.
I don't know if they paid it justice or not, but it really, really was a lot of fun watching Primus play some of our songs to the best of their ability. I would say my top 3 overrated would probably be, and even though I joined the band around 1980, 81, I go back to Fly By Night, and I just think it's a superb album. I think that's probably one of my most underrated albums. Probably Power Windows and maybe even Vapor Trails, I would say, as far as underrated for people from all generations put together. You know, my generation, the generation before me, and the younger generation.
Jim?
Yeah, I would say let's debate. I think a lot of people hold Farewell to Kings in very high regard. And when you think about some of the songs on there, like the title tracks, Xanadu, Closer to the Heart, and even Cygnus X1, The Voyage, the book one, version of it. I just think that it's not underrated.
I see it as underrated because it's sandwiched between 2112 and Hemispheres, and it doesn't seem to get as much talked about. As like everyone talks about 2112 and everyone talks about Hemispheres as being like almost the best thing ever. And I don't know. I just find Farewell to Kings is a great album. It just doesn't get the love it should get. Maybe that's how I should have worded it. But
oh yeah,
once you have a Xanadu, you really can't.
Right.
Hey. That's such
All
an
right,
amazing
okay. You know what? That's a fail. Okay, that was amongst my extra ones that Ryan asked me to throw in there. So
that was one of my extra ones. That'll his
teach you.
That was one of my extra ones.
That'll teach me. Yeah, I'm gonna have one here. I'm thinking everyone's going to agree, but there's one way to find out.
Ooh.
If the song Dog Years would be more accepted by Rush fans if the lyrics were different. Derek?
Great take.
Right?
If the lyrics were different,
correct.
As in like not as like cheesy.
Not talking about dog. Yeah, exactly.
As in better?
I mean,
he didn't say that. He didn't use that word.
Can you read that one more time?
Song Dog Years would be more accepted by overall Rush fans if the lyrics were different.
I'm going to say let's debate because you're not mentioning the song title. The song title is still Dog Years, right? I mean, if the lyrics are different, but the song title is still Dog Years, I think the song title in and of itself is cheesy enough to defer people from it. So
last I checked, my name's not Neil Peart, and I don't know what the new title for the song would be. I'm just saying.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like people find
a tortoise from
cheesy.
Galapagos. Sure, it doesn't matter. It's just still gonna. I think it's still gonna defer people. So yeah, that would be my reasoning.
All right.
The music,
Gary?
A lot of
the
people
music is great.
Is fantastic, but that doesn't sway them enough to like the song, right? So.
But if the lyrics were different, from a different subject completely, it would be more accepted overall.
Completely different subject, completely. Well, then sure, but you didn't say that, so.
I think that was implied. Right.
That was very much implied.
Yeah.
Well, you just said that the lyrics are different. So you're talking about that subject matter just differently about dog years. I mean, you kind of talk about aging and you talk about aging about going bald.
Right.
Or,
okay.
You know what I mean? Like so.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're right. Dang you. All right. Who's next?
That would be me. I'm gonna say great take. I'm gonna say great take because it's not one of my favorite songs. So
right.
If we're different, I might think it would be a little bit more to my liking. So
I mean, it's a hypothetical, but
I happen to like the song, so there you go. Complete opposite.
That's the problem, Ryan. That's the problem with you.
That's the problem with me. I like Dog Years.
He likes the song. Yeah. Oh gosh, Peter.
I would say it's a great effing take because I've always said this. It's like you read my mind because Dog Years for me is like one of the highlights of the album musically. And it's like, it hits you in the face and I love it. And if it just wasn't for my low level static,
well, clearly the lyrics resonated with you if you can recite them.
Like the movie, there's a great song by Queen called Flash from Flash Gordon. It's a great song musically, but the lyrics are so absurd that it's like, I can't like the song too much. But I compare the Dog Years a lot to like Flash from Queen. But I just wish they, it's not the season of the itch or whatever that other stuff they're talking about. But yeah, someone use the music, put new lyrics in it, and it'd be really kick-ass.
All right, Jim.
I'm gonna say it's a great take, but I do love that song.
All right. Geez, we're going through these a bit faster than I thought we were. Jeez. All right. Do we do ones for songs? I'm debating now. Let's ruffle some feathers.
Let's
throw it out there. Throw it out there.
Yeah, whatnot. All right. Rush has 8 instrumental songs. The best one is Malignant Narcissism. Derek?
Is that actually your opinion, or are you just throwing that out there to see if people
No.
will debate?
That's my take. That's my
He's
take.
just trying to get a rise out of all
Yeah.
that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, exactly.
Let's debate on that one. I mean,
Finally. All
or
right.
be a Strangiato, YYZ. Even leave that thing alone. You talking about the Time Machine tour earlier.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I like Narcissism, I can't speak today. But much as I like that one, there's so many different better ones. Even on that Snakes and Arrows album alone, like we have Hope, and then the Main Monkey Business, which was played on R40, which was done pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Ryan?
Yeah, let's debate. I mean, there's 5 or 6 better ones. It's still good, but
Okay. All right. See, this is why I had these on the side. But
No, that's good.
Who's next? Jerry?
That's
Your
me.
thoughts?
Obviously, let's debate.
Yeah, figured as much.
I figure just what everyone said. YYZ, Livia. I mean,
Should
there
I
you go.
even bother for the rest of two? Because everybody's going to argue with me here. Peter, what are your thoughts?
Let's debate, but first I'd like to say that I think the theme or the meaning of malignant narcissism is probably the most profound out of all the titles of all the instrumentals. I mean, to really delve into what malignant narcissism is I would say that would be the greatest title of an instrumental, but I would go with La Villa Strangata.
yeah.
Finally, Jim, your thoughts?
Yeah, let's debate. Livia is my favorite. But
Okay.
Malignant Narcissism is still pretty awesome. I kind of think about it as a kind of I don't know how to word it right, like an homage to YYZ or something. Kind of
I liked
reminds
how-
us the structure and energy kind of reminds me of YYZ in a way.
It was almost very spontaneous, and that's how it was created. It was Getty just kicking around with
almost
his
didn't
bass.
happen.
It
Yeah.
almost didn't happen, right? It's the last song on the album, him just playing
Yeah.
around with a fretless bass, and the producer was like, "I love that. We got to put that on tape." And Neil had already finished his parts. His drum kit had been shipped off, so he came back and recorded the drum parts on a 4-piece kit that Nick was playing with. I mean,
Yep.
it's just it just adds to that song, and that just
Yeah,
Anyway,
I think it's cool.
that was my take,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. I knew it would create
Livia.
stir up some feelings here, but geez.
I mean, the problem is it's so far into the album, and later Rush albums got kind of long as they went on. The last 3. And speaking about sandwiching, like to me, Snakes and Arrows is the weakest between Vapor Trails and Clockwork Angels. So when you listen to that record, it feels like it. By the time you're like in the album, you kind of just forget. You kind of already don't listen to the album.
I could see Ryan's going to explode here in
Yeah,
a second.
only Paul is giving the hot takes tonight. Only Paul.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I'll keep my mouth shut. Next.
Next time.
Well, actually, you know what? Before I do my last one, I've got one here I had put aside, but that Derek's point might kind of help me here. All albums after Power Windows, and the reason I'm saying Power Windows, because after 85, then albums were longer. They had more space to play with, more songs they could add to it.
Yeah, the format changed.
Most albums, I shouldn't say all, most albums after Power Windows have what I would call filler or fluff songs. Oh. Derek.
I'm gonna say let's debate on that one.
Okay.
I think in the grand scheme of things, because those guys never threw anything away. Whatever they had, it was good. They just put it on the record, and they knew how to make an album. Nothing was done by accident, like Donna would say. Neil always had a plan for something. So going through, you could say maybe this couple of filler songs and maybe like Hold Your Fire. People say Taishan. But I think overall, most of those albums are, everything just belongs on there, with again, the exception of Snakes and Arrows. But pretty much other than that, I'd say most everything else. I mean, look at Clockwork Angels, and that album's like an hour and 6 minutes long, but everything, it goes together as a concept. And even Neil would make everything as like a motif going forward. Power Windows being one of the main first albums he would do that as a main motif or a theme. So to me, everything fits snugly in that theme. And even albums like Presto that I'm also not too big on, every song is still there for a reason and there's a purpose for it. Especially Vapor Trails.
Ryan?
Well said. Great. Derek, great take. Paul, let's debate. I echo everything Derek said. I mean, literally, you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, yeah. The one word that I thought of was thematically, and the songs are all there. If they're okay, I guess yeah. They're obviously some songs are better than other songs, but they're all there for a reason, and they're not. It's not the phrase "all killer, no filler" type thing, but they're not all killer, but there's nothing that's filler. They're all there for a reason. So even Taishan,
Yeah.
I mean, it was written for a purpose, whether you like it or not, or Dog Ears or these songs, you know, whether you like them or not, they're there for a reason. And the boys had meaning to write them. They weren't filler. So.
Right, Jerry.
I'm going to say great take, but I also want to debate. So I think that
we'll allow it. Okay,
the length that CDs provided to artists was generally not a positive thing across the board. I don't know why a lot of CDs, you get an hour or something in there. I think albums are better at 40, 45 minutes. And you can't really say that some of the songs on later Rush albums are filler unless they weren't there to begin with and they were added later or something like that. So it's very hard to say whether or not the quality of the albums would have been better, but there are definitely some songs that you would think if they didn't have so much time to fill, that they wouldn't have tried to write in the first place.
I would agree
Yep.
with that,
That's a good
Jerry.
point.
I think it's a great take, Paul. I mean, just look back at like Permanent Waves, which is like a perfect album, and it's so short, right? How can you make an album twice the length and expect it to be? So there had to be some kind of direct need for them to want to make the albums a bit longer. Otherwise, they would have made longer albums back in the 70s. Yeah. Well, they couldn't, but they could have made it a little bit longer. Permanent Waves could have been a lot longer, but they didn't, but they kept it short, concise. And I do think they strayed a little bit towards, the 80s and 90s, but not to say that there are any fillers. They're all great songs, but I do think that some of those songs could have been held off.
All right, Jim.
Well, originally I was going to say let's debate, but I think I'm going to go with the great take for the reasons that Jerry and Peter have mentioned, because that was kind of floating around in my head too.
All right.
Thanks, Jim.
Could that be an age thing though too?
Hey,
Really?
what did I say?
Really?
Hey now.
Well,
No, it totally is, Ryan.
because
totally
like Derek
Sure
and
it
I
is.
are younger, and we listen to music differently. Like whereas you guys kind of had to listen top. I mean, I do that as well. So does Derek. We both collect vinyl, but still, I mean, could it be kind of an age thing? Like as you know what I mean?
It's
the way
it's
we take in
possible.
music.
I mean, the way that like when we were growing up, the way we would consume music, you go out and buy an album or a cassette tape, and you usually bring it home and listen to it front to back while you sit in your room and like read the liner notes and lyrics or whatever. And the way that a lot of music is consumed now are, and not you guys really, but are kind of one-offs. Like somebody's like, "Oh, I like this song by this artist. I'm gonna go buy this song." And
Actually, in
not,
that
like,
case, it
buy
would
an
be the
album.
opposite, because like people like Derek and I just hit shuffle. We like a song, we keep listening to that song. It's actually, wouldn't it be quite the opposite? Because we would have the ability to skip the filler. Anyways, I digress.
Well, but
You
I
get what
mean,
I'm
we
saying?
could,
Like,
yeah, I mean, I do, but I do think that it's different how we consume music back then, and I think
well, sure, yeah.
Peter and Jerry both mentioned like the length of the CD format. I mean, that kind of changed things too. So in the past, bands they're figuring out, hey, what do we put on this record? And they're like, well, we need to cut a song because it's not going to fit.
Yeah,
And
right.
then they started to not have that situation.
Right. I think that the current way that people consume music, like your Spotify's and stuff like that, is actually bringing the quality back, because there is no time to fill. You just put out a song when you
That's
want to put
also
out a
true.
song.
Yeah.
And if you want to put out an album, it could be any length you want. There's no
True.
expectation that it's going to be a certain
Yeah.
length based on the medium.
An EP.
Right.
Right.
What's
Good
an
point.
album?
What's an
Yeah, I
album?
know,
Album.
right.
All right. Save this one for the grand finale here.
Okay.
Rush's ultimate prog rock song is Jacob's Ladder. Derek?
I say let's debate on that one. I mean, one comes to my head is 2112 right away. And even the Fountain of Lamneth, I think, is an excellent prog song for as kind of silly or like kind of jumbled together that people said it could be. And even on that same record, Natural Science right there, that closes out Permanent Waves, my favorite epic that they'd ever done. Just a masterpiece. And even the camera eye. Just great prog sprinkled all throughout their career.
Ryan?
You said Jacob's Ladder is the ultimate Rush prog rock track. Is it your take?
Correct.
Yeah, let's debate. I mean, the first song that came to mind to me was Natural Science on the same record is better from a prog perspective, from a musical, from an everything perspective. Natural Science is better. So,
Okay. Jerry?
Let's debate, because the first thing that came to mind is Hemispheres for me.
yeah,
So I think there's a ton. Not that Jacob's Ladder obviously is bad in any respect. Just as when I think of prog rock, I think of how crazy a song is, and Natural Science is one of the craziest songs they've ever written. So,
Or you mean Hemispheres, right? You said?
well, I mean,
Oh,
they were talking about
both.
Natural Science, but yeah, Hemispheres too. But
Oh,
Natural
yeah,
Science,
okay.
even on that album, is just
Yeah.
insane.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Peter, yeah.
debate. I would say Natural Science and a few other ones we sprinkled there before I would get to Jacob's Ladder.
Okay. Jim?
Yeah, I would say let's debate. I mean, Hemispheres, Natural Science. I mean, they're both fantastic and they're extremely proggy. So.
All right. Well, with that wraps it up. Episode 4. Well, actually, no, episode 154 of Rush Roundtable. And I'm sure that you people out there have some thoughts on my supposedly great takes, as opposed to what these people think. So, feel free to click, like, subscribe, leave a comment. We read every single one, and we're really interested to see what you have. If you want to participate in one of these sessions, reach out to us at Rush Fans, and we'll see what we can do. So until next time, next week, we continue on the song discussion roundtable. I think it's Hold Your Fire and Open Secrets.
Second Nature is next week. Yep.
Second Nature. Sorry about that. All right. Until next time, guys. Everybody, have fun.